over at SUNY, and this is also inspired by the SUNY campus, which SUNY Albany. Yeah, do we have some SUNY Albany people out there? Yeah, all right. Coming up to it. Okay. Just kidding. Whoops. Am I talking too loud? Okay. Thank you. So I don't know how many people know, but the campus was originally designed, the architecture was originally designed for a school in the Middle East, and it was never built there. The other thing it might be helpful to know is, you might be familiar with the biblical story of the Gadarene swine, when Jesus drove demons out of a madman into a herd of swine, and it's believed that this took place in Jerash, which is a city in northern Jordan. Gadarene Rush. A campus courtyard in New York State makes me long for Jerash, the still inhabited Greco-Roman city in Jordan. The fountain, which flows in spring, is silent in winter. At this moment, no one crosses it nor lingers. Students oblivious to the pastoral rush in the hermetically sealed corridor. The Jerash Nymphaeum no longer flows. Residents cross the colonnaded street to and from work, the madrasa, the souk. A shepherd pauses with his flock to chat with U.S. tourists. The Jordanians joke the American presence is so great, Jordan could be the 51st state. In Albany, I watch the students and wonder how many know the architect of their campus, renowned for his Islamic designs. So this is a little long, but it's the title poem, so I thought I should read it. It might be helpful to know that it was inspired by the magnolia tree, which, if you come to my house today, you will see it in efflorescence, it's full bloom. And it might be helpful to know that it's interesting to know that the petals on the magnolia tree are called tepals, so it's not a mistake. And my niece Lisa is here, and she was, where is Lisa? There she is. She was a phys ed teacher, so I'm sure you were also a coach. And I don't know if your students ever decorated a tree in your yard with toilet paper, which they do that in Del Mar as a prank. So that's what I make reference to here. Efflorescence. The tree in bloom takes the woman hostage, drugging her with its colossal powder puff. Peaking star magnolia tepals morph into bathroom tissue of a high school unspooling. But it's too early in the spring for a lark, usually reserved for the coach's lot anyway. Soon, any trace of brilliance will vanish, and the woman will sink back into stacks of books secured under the watchful eye of the Patriot Act, buried in dust mites. The petals flutter, surrendering to nature, despite a few that cling as if hot glue gunned after a dogged winter. Now the woman sees scraps of bandages calling up wounds of the earlier desert storm waged in our name against people whose names we can't pronounce. Streaming live public radio announces the Nagasaki U.S. the Nagasaki officials' U.S. trip, and before her very eyes, the teeples transform into paper cranes. By turns, limp, the teeples invoke the down of goose feathers. One rumpled past bloom stands out, a dove. The woman searches for more symbols of salvation. Instead, the detritus of shredded paper towels, remnants of cleaning rags, crumpled pages, and bone-white teeth flood her mind. While the blossoms on this perennial formed, reports from Ramadi bombarded the home front. She taps, what flowers in Baghdad this week? Positions the cursor, depresses the mouse. Send now, a missive to the gap-toothed boy who mowed her lawn off fighting in Iraq. The flower's heady fragrance slips through a crack in the window, smacks of a wake, piercing dust carried by April winds that permeate the air of her colonial. She walks outside, picks a teeple and raises it to her lips. For a moment, the woman who scrubs fruit free of pesticides feels liberated and emboldened. To the Iraqi people, not all of whom feel liberated, and only some of whom feel emboldened. And then, the stench of industries west of her land blows east, reminding her no chemical weapons were found. Her face burns as Bush declares war upon the world. The following morning, she awakes to the rumbling highway department contraption grinding brush. She grabs the camera to capture any remaining flowers. The teeples pale under cloud cover. Green buds assert themselves. The woman stands beneath the canopy and pinches the rubbery, soft skin freshly fallen from a branch. It is cool, damp, and surprisingly firm. Misshapen now, the teeples no longer resemble their nascent form as they approached the pinnacle of their days. I'm getting mad. All right, I just have 2 more poems. Is that good, Carol?
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah.
yeah? Okay.
3.
All right. Well, we'll see.
Yeah, you have time.
Oh, all right. Well, you learn. Okay. I like that, whoever that was. Okay. This was inspired by, well, there you have it. A trip to Palestine, and it's in memory of Hanny's parents and a very dear family friend. Dispatch from Beit Jala, near Bethlehem. Through the wall, my husband, our daughter, and I were driven. I snapped a photo, hoping our taxi would not be stopped. We'd come all the way from New York. Messages layered the gray concrete slab. God is no, the rest wiped out. A beginning besmirched, then like a disease. Beneath that, all comes round, followed by something unreadable, and then be love, you're free. Call. Yes, all in English, interspersed with drawings of the stumps of trees. Sandstone rubble lay at the foot of the wall, and then a small green strip, and finally the wire, a barbed wire fence. Abuna Isa, the old priest, welcomed us into his old home, the home where he'd been born. Under an arched doorway, he said to my husband, "Now that your father George has passed, I'm your new Baba. and the two men's eyes glistered. Isa and George had been friends decades before in Baghdad, when George was a publisher and Isa a pharmacist. Isa had found young Hanny hiding under the bed, afraid of the needle needed for immunization. On this visit, Abuna Isa's wife Linda took Petra to the slip of arbor wedged in the narrow backyard, where they picked escadinia. Hanny recalled the sweet, tart fruit as a boy when he visited his mother's family in a house up the hill. Linda and Isa had left Baghdad quickly, taking nothing with them. Abuna Isa said, "It's not so bad, the hours I now wait to cross to Jerusalem, Inshallah." Okay, so, am I good?
Yeah, one more is good.
Okay, it's a short one. All right. And it was written after the presidential inauguration. And it's very subtle. Yes. And it was inspired by a project with poet Mark O'Brien, who also did a series of photographs. He's photographing a mountain in the hill towns of Albany. And so it's kind of a landscape poem. Cross-border. Yoke of sun breaks as an incendiary inaugurates clouds of deregulated soot. Yoke of light runs energy above base, overshadowed land. Fog shrouds lies. Lines ride into a black gathering storm. A million pink hats bloom, our sea of amber waves. Beloved mountain knows no boundaries of nation, race, gender, religion, only its own, nature's notch on the horizon. Peaking Obamian blues, purple majesties, beneath roiling yoke, power lines, short the western staff, spark a new song. Sun yoke tossed above cast iron skillet, bursting flame on. People, march, march.